Kia ora, everybody. Welcome to the ACE RMO 2024 Hastings webinar. My name is Georgina. I'm the ACE RMO consultant. We're going to start off with an opening karakia, and then I'll give everyone a brief outline of today's webinar. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai, e hi ake ana, te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, tihei moriora. Over to you, panelists, to introduce yourselves.
I'm Grant Broadhurst. I'm the Director of Clinical Training. I'm a General Surgeon here in Hawke's Bay.
I'm Jodie Hurry. I am the RMO Recruitment Consultant.
Hi, I'm Megan Prendergast. I am the House Officer RMO Coordinator.
Kia ora, I'm Millie. I'm PGY2.
Hey, I'm Felix. I'm one of the PGY1s here.
Thanks, everybody. So basically, we have a video for you all to watch, followed by a presentation presented by our panelists. And then we've got our RMO representatives talking about what a typical day would be like at the hospital, and they can share any tips with you guys. And then we'll have a Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. You can all put down your questions in the Q&A box below. You can do this throughout the webinar. Don't wait until the end of the webinar, but they will all be answered towards the end of the session. Cool, I hope everyone enjoyed that. We'll now move on to the presentation.
I'm going to start off. As I said, I'm Grant Broadhurst. I'm the General Surgeons here. Just to talk a little bit about Hawke's Bay Hospital. We're a hospital that serves around about 180,000 people, so basically a modest-sized regional hospital. We have 400 beds, cover most specialties, except cardiothoracics and neurosurgery. I'm not going to glasses on because I can't read this, and plastics. But in general, we cover, as I said, most specialties, including ICU, pediatrics, O&G, and intensive care. So it's a reasonable sized hospital. There's a lot of variety you can get here. Obviously, we're not a tertiary hospital, but we do see a lot of the stuff that gets done here in a tertiary hospital. From my side of things, general surgery, we deal with a lot of trauma locally, and we don't tend to send it out unless we really have to, and a lot of times we can't send it out. So we do end up doing quite a lot of stuff that similar sized regional hospitals wouldn't necessarily do. We have a pretty good RMO unit, and I think a very good RMO unit actually, and they're here to look after you in terms of pastoral care and just a general chat, and I'm sure the guys will reiterate that as we go on. There has been some talk, I guess, last year. We had a bit of a cyclone start of the year that we probably had, Hawke's Bay's probably had a bit of bad publicity about. But in reality, we do recognise a lot of people are struggling from it still, but it doesn't affect us on a day-to-day basis, fully up and running. Happy to answer any more questions about that. I might hand it over to you guys who can talk about, I was going to talk a little bit more about the type of RMOs and career development and stuff like that later on.
Okay. So just with Hawke's Bay as a region, the combination of fantastic weather, stunning scenery, beaches, world-class trout fishing, easy access to the outdoors, and the central plateaus ski fields. So we've got established food and wine experiences and a high-performing hospital make Hawke's Bay ideal work and lifestyle destination. So we've got a lot of people here that either do marathons or like to go out tramping or walking. There's lots of different places you can go. And also we're not too far to get anywhere. So it's usually a couple of hours if you want to go somewhere different or just for a little bit of different scenery on your day off or on your weekend away and stuff. Right. So me still. Recruitment process. So applications are reviewed by a selection panel, which consists of our pre-vocational education supervisor, which is the PES. We have the director of medical training, myself as a recruitment consultant. So we don't interview you individually as candidates. We will review your cover letter, CV and references and give you a hospital ranking for prior contact with us. So a site visit is not mandatory. Thank you to some people who have already emailed in, and we'll arrange those for people that do want to come and have a visit, but it doesn't affect, obviously, your application if you have not been able to get here.
Yeah, just to further those comments, Jodie, we're looking for people that obviously want to come to Hawke's Bay, and are keen to sort of live our values, which were pretty nicely summarised in that initial video. And most importantly, people that are team players that can get on with other people, communicate well, and our future leaders. And we, if you fit that mould, feel free to apply. I mean, we will look after you. A number of, and I can speak from general surgery. I don't know much around like general medicine, for example, but we do look after our RMOs and make sure that they develop their career. And you don't necessarily need to be in a major centre to get on to a lot of the training schemes. We do support all the diplomas like in PEDS and ONG. And a number of our RMOs end up staying for 3 or 4 years and eventually getting onto training schemes from Hawke's Bay. So when I was supervisor of training in general surgery about 3 or 4 years ago, there was this thing where, and I'm using general surgery as an example, but I'm sure this goes across the whole hospital, that you had to be in Auckland or Middlemore, North Shore or Christchurch to get onto a training scheme, and what we actually showed that wasn't the case. So it was so you don't necessarily not going to, in terms of your career, slip away because of that. I mean, I'm talking in terms of specialty, but there's also things like general practice, and we do actually have a very good community-based attachment program. Our RMOs can go to a place called Wairoa, which is just up the coast. You're from Wairoa. Close enough. And it's extremely highly valued. So we do look after RMOs that are keen to go down community community work. I think pretty much Jodie's covered most of the things. If you are applying to us, we'd really appreciate a covering letter, and you're more than welcome to get in touch with the RMO unit and actually come for a visit. And it doesn't matter if you're a TI outside of the region, more than happy to just come and visit us, and Megan and Jodie will just take you for a visit around. And if you're keen to come here, we're keen for you to have a look at the place first.
Okay, thanks, Grant. Just a little bit about a PGY1 position in Hawke's Bay Hospital. We're looking for 19. We have 19 positions for next year for PGY1s. The attachments we have are Gen Med, ATNR, general surgery, including orthopedics, and in the fourth quarter, a few of you could be in a relief role. We've got vocational training in most of the specialities, and we have weekly teaching for PGY1s and PGY2s. Plus, we have grand rounds and a few other meetings and teaching sessions, and obviously on-the-job learning. The once-a-week PGY1 teaching are predicted at lunchtime. So phones off, come in, everyone's there, and we put on some very good topics. A little bit of information with regards to the rostering, which I do, and we have obviously 4 quarters, 13 weeks each quarter. The average is for weekends worked is about 3 to 4 weekends a quarter. Obviously, you don't start nights as a first quarter PGY1, though in the second quarter, if you've done a medical run, you are stepped up to nights. We always have a PGY2 working the nights with our PGY1, so there's 2 house officers on every night. Once you're on nights, the average is 1 set of weeknights and maybe 1 set of weekend nights per quarter. The first 3 weeks that you're here as a PGY1, we buddy you up with our really, really supportive PGY2s who have been through it all before. So even though you may be on a long day your first week, you're never alone. There's someone working with you, and we put extras on as well on the weekend, and we have float so that you've always got that extra support there as well. Annual leave, I can start looking at once you have been assigned to your areas. I also encourage everyone to take a decent set of leave, and I'm more than happy to work with all the PGY1s and 2s to make sure you get good breaks throughout the year. And obviously, as your roster coordinator, if you do arrive, I am more than happy to sit down and talk through things at any time you need any help or any extra support. That's all part of the wraparound service the RMO unit provides, and we really enjoy our jobs and enjoy working with all the house officers. And now we're going to hand over to some lovely house officers, PGY2 Millie and PGY1 Felix, and they're going to discuss a day in the life.
Perfect. Well, I guess, yeah, I can start off by talking about day in the life of like a medical runner and about surge.
Yeah.
So kind of, I guess, I think the main thing to kind of highlight is that Hawke's Bay as a hospital, given that it's kind of rural, it has kind of the benefit of it is that you have the ability and experiences that you would have in like Whakatane and Gisborne and those kind of smaller places where you get more procedural skills, but you also have the support in terms of like the bigger hospitals. So like you have registrars and lots of people there to kind of guide you along. The consultants are everyone's very friendly and very hands-on. So you can kind of ask questions along the way, which I think I found amazing in my first year. In terms of like a day in the life of a medical house officer, I guess, you arrive at 8 and then you kind of everyone goes to handover at 8 to 8:30. House officers stay and just do some jobs in the morning. Then you walk around with your team, which is a SMO, a registrar, and you, occasionally a 4th year or 5th year a medical student or a TI. And then you do kind of the jobs in the afternoon. Pretty much all the time you get away on time. In terms of like the acute medical run that you can do, which is called AAU, which I would highly recommend, and Felix is on at the moment, so I would probably highly recommend it too. But you get to do lots of procedural things, like I got to put in the first like chest drain, and you do acidic drains and all those kind of things. The regs and the consultants are really happy, and almost they encourage you to do them, which is awesome.
So just a bit of background about me. I'm 4 months into the job now. So I did 3 months of general surgery, and now I'm general medicine. So surgery run, you start a little bit early, you start at 7:30. So normally I'd come in just 10 minutes before that and put out blood forms for the patients and new patients that have come in overnight. Then there's a ward round, which is usually a bit quicker than a medical ward round. And you've got usually 2 registrars on a surgical team and a consultant, and then they go off to either the theatre or to their clinics, and you just sort of start working through the jobs. But they're always available to contact if you need help with any patients or you're not sure about something. I was a bit nervous starting off on general surgery with the after-hours shift, but I'll just reiterate, I feel they're quite well supported, especially at the start. Those first few weeks, having a PGY2 sort of rostered on most of the hours as a support is really helpful. And it sort of makes those first few long days go a bit smoother when you're just sort of learning the ins and outs of the hospital. I would really encourage you guys to come here to Hawke's Bay. I've really enjoyed working here so far. I was here as a TI as well, so I've done most of the sort of runs that have been mentioned. In terms of sort of specific things that I'd like to highlight about Hawke's Bay, the teaching opportunities that we get are really good. Like just today on medicine, we started off with a journal club in the morning, and then we had a grand round today that we talked about leptospirosis with some public health physicians. So there's lots of those learning opportunities as well that are available to you. And just maybe I'll throw it back to Millie to touch on some of the more social aspects of being a PGY 1 or 2 here at Hawke's Bay.
Yeah, thanks, Felix. So there is, I mean, it's kind of great that it's a smaller hospital's maximum of, 19 plus some British house horses that come over. So you get to know everyone really, really well. And as a result of that, there's a massive kind of like social push. Everyone goes out for midweek drinks and like weekend winery visits and bike rides. And there's a big group of us that go surfing most mornings kind of thing when it's on, which, in Hawke's Bay, it's 10 minutes from Hastings to the beach, and then we come into work, and it's a great lifestyle outside of the hospital as well. So it kind of just is great all around.
Oh, thank you. I've received a couple of questions. What are the parking and food options?
Yeah, I can take that one. So food options, we've got Zach's Cafe, which is I've recently learned because it's the Hawke's Bay Fallen Soldiers Memorial Hospital. They named that after Anzacs. They ran a naming competition apparently for the cafe.
I never know that.
And Zach's won, but it's a really good cafe. So you get free lunch, which is awesome, and then you also get a evening meal if you're on a long day. So yeah, I'd highly recommend that.
Parking, tricky. Parking is quite tricky.
So yes and no for parking being tricky. So there is nominated different times. So depending on if you were coming in for later shifts, there's car parks that open up from 9:30 or 1:30. There's some that are from 8:30 as well. There is parking on site, but again, because about 3,000 to 4,000 people work here, not all at the same time, but it just means sometimes first in, first served. So usually the people that start before 7:30 might find it easier to get a park than people that were starting a little bit later. But there's also areas around the hospital off-site that you can park too. If you're on a long day, security and stuff, if for some reason you were parked way down the road, security would walk you to your car if you felt unsafe or needed any kind of support that way. It's $1 a day if you do park in the staff parking, which is definitely pretty cheap compared to a lot of other places. So it's pretty good that way. And
it would only ever be a maximum 10-minute walk from where you park your car on the side streets to the hospital.
Dedicated long days.
Yeah, and we do have car parks for people who are doing the long days. There's dedicated free parking for those particular...
On site.
Yeah, on site for those people. Just on the food too, we do have the Zach's Cafe on site, which is your free meal if you're obviously working. If you wanted something a little bit different too, we do have a couple of other within a block where you can get other meals as well if you do a change in scene or just go out for a coffee or something like that.
And if your consultant's really nice, we buy your coffee out there with that.
Yes.
Great, thank you. $1 per day sounds excellent. Is there an on-site gym?
There's not an on-site gym, but I'd say that like Hawke's Bay, nothing's really that far away. So I use one called Flex, which is like, I guess like a 5-minute, 10-minute walk away from the hospital, or a couple-minute drive. So yeah, there's no traffic either, like in Auckland and some of the other bigger places. So everywhere is really easy to get to. Most, yeah.
And yeah, there is one with a pool that's like 100 meters from the hospital. That you can get to.
It's a 50-meter. That's a 50-meter competitive pool.
Yeah,
and there's a full gym there and stuff.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah. So, and then you've got obviously the all of Health New Zealand does that fitness passport if you wanted to join a gym. So it includes the pool areas at the gyms that we do have here that are close by.
Next question. Is there an area bike commute friendly? Is the area bike commute friendly, and how difficult is it to find a place to live?
Absolutely, I would say it's bike commute friendly. There's honestly, I'd say, 50% of the hospital bike to work, probably, in terms of the RMOs. Very flat, lots of bike trails everywhere. Hawke's Bay, there's lots of wine bike trails as well. And in terms of living, there's a big RMO page that lots of people just post on in terms of someone's leaving a flat. There's always British people coming and going. So there's always flats. And I don't know what you're paying, but like it's kind of ranging between what I've heard is like 170 to 240 is kind of the average of what the house officers are all paying at the moment.
Obviously, if you like to bike too, on the premises here, they've got lock-up bike facilities. So you just swipe your card and your bike's all in a safe, secure place. It's got little tools that you can repair your bike and stuff if you need to. And there's obviously showers and facilities that you can use.
Perfect. Do you allow late starters?
Not as a rule, but never say never. It really
We can, I mean,
yes, absolutely.
It's in a situation.
Yeah, circumstances would be individually assessed if for some reason. The reason we like everybody to try and start on the date is for the first week, we do a really intense orientation. So you're meeting people with the pharmacy, getting all your computer training. We have cell phones, which is like how people text you or page to text and stuff like that. So we have all of that kind of stuff set up. They also cover occupational health. So, and you get to buddy up with people before some of them leave so that you kind of know before you go live the next week kind of what's happening. And just because of what that entails, we do like to try and have everybody start then. But obviously, if there was some circumstances, we would look at that as a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, and we're prepared to be flexible for the right people. And it's no problem at all. Just whatever request, just get in touch.
Oh, and I would just like to elaborate on an ACE perspective. Please, if you do need to start late for whatever reason, please outline that in your application and your cover letter. Cool. I think we are done with questions. So if you didn't get a chance to ask any questions, no worries. Please flick us an email at rmo@acenz.net.nz, or you can contact Hawke's Bay directly if it's anything related to working at the hospital. I will now close off with a karakia. Kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa pounamu te moana. Hei huarahi mā tātou I te rangi nei, aroha atu, aroha mai, tātou, ia tātou katoa, hui e, taiki e. Thank you everybody who joined today. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.